So I'm here to talk about a production of Marie Antoinette by David Adjmi. It's directed by Andrea Hart, who is the new artistic director for Cabrillo Stage. She's a very talented director coming in from Texas, and we're very lucky to have her. I'm actually playing Marie Antoinette in the production.
Nice.
So I'm out here just trying to spread the word and get more people to come to the show. We open April 12th, so we play April 12th through the 28th. Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m., 3 weekends. And it's a very dark, witty, satirical look at the last Queen of France, her life and her final days. It's very contemporary, it's funny, it's not stuffy, boring history. It's sad, but it's also heartfelt, and hopefully it will make you laugh a few times as well.
What are some of the things that you learned about Marie Antoinette while getting ready for this play?
Yeah, I have done quite a bit of research, and we also have a wonderful dramaturg, Rocio Sullivan, who has been helping a lot with learning about the history of Marie Antoinette and the other characters of the play. And what you really start learning as soon as you look into the history there is that she was such a victim of what was really a revolution, generations in the making. She was really used. They created a really big smear campaign around her. They were drawing cartoons, they were writing dirty poems, they were making up stories, writing autobiographies about her life as a prostitute and publishing it under her name. And so a lot of what you really start to understand is that though she's very well known for let them eat cake and very, all of this opulence, that really wasn't her at all. That was all made up.
So it sounds like, how unbelievable is it that a situation like that could happen nowadays? I mean, it seems like it's very easy to get smeared by the media. There are lots of people being smeared by the media. And the stories that get out there and that seem to stick around are by people who don't really know, or they have an agenda and they're lying. It doesn't seem like history changes much. They always say history doesn't change, but it rhymes. I don't know what the exact saying is, but it seems to repeat itself, if not exactly, then very, very closely.
Yes, and there's really very similar themes that do seem to repeat throughout history. And I think one of the things that David Adjmi, the playwright, does really brilliantly with this production is he doesn't tell you who's wrong and who's right. Mm-hmm. He just allows you to draw your own conclusions. Mm-hmm. And I think it's very murky. It's not to say that she wasn't responsible, she wasn't blameless, but she was really more of a figurehead than someone who had any actual power to rule, especially as a woman, especially as a queen. And so I think that it's interesting, and you have to come see the show and find out. But I do think that she's a very sympathetic character, which is not what I thought going into the show. But as we've been rehearsing for several months now, and that's really what I've come away with, is that we're all just human. We're all people. We're all doing the best we can. And sometimes we're thrust into these situations where we have to do our best, but we don't really have control over what's happening around us. And I think she's a really good example of that in history.
Yeah, there are probably many examples throughout history if you really think about it. I always find it interesting when people say, well, he's a bad man, or hey, that's a bad person. Mm-hmm. Life's a little more complex than that, right? There's no such thing as a good man and a bad man. I mean, we're not living in the superhero and you have, Dr. Evil and life is not really like that. As a matter of fact,
true.
There's most of life is in that gray area.
It is. And she was really built. She was raised to be a queen. She was raised to be Versailles at the time was just so incredibly opulent. It's hard to actually really imagine the kind of opulence that the royal court was living in. And she was actually Austrian, which most people don't know. She was born in Austria. Her brother became the Emperor of Austria, and then she was married to King Louis and shipped off to France to become the queen when she was only 14. And so Yeah, and they were actually, they became queen and king very young, much younger than they expected to be. And so they were really unprepared to rule. And so she was taught, she had a French tutor who came in and taught her how to live at Versailles, how to follow the rules, how to follow the customs. She was watched constantly. So courtiers who were in favor, were given the privilege of dressing her or undressing her or watching them eat breakfast or it was just constant eyes.
Wow.
And the way that Andrea Hart, the director, has staged the production is, so a black box theater is what it sounds like. It's a smaller theater, it's a black box, and it can really be built into anything. And the way that we've staged it is we have a circular central platform in the middle of the theater that's raised, and then we have audience on 3 out of 4 sides of the box. So the audience, when you're in there, it feels like the audience is pressing in on you, and it feels very claustrophobic and it's a very intimate space. And she did that on purpose to try and recreate this feeling that Marie had at Versailles, where there were always people watching and judging her and making these assumptions about her.
So is the seating arrangement going to be the seating arrangement on the nights that you have these plays?
Yes, exactly. Wow. So that's how the theater will be set up. It's a 100-seat theater, and it's 3/4 around this circular platform. And it's also, I think, going to be interesting because depending on where you're sitting, you're going to get a very different show. So we've blocked it so that some audience will be getting some action, hopefully at all times, or as much as we can. But if you're sitting on one side, you're going to be much closer to, part of the scene that's happening than, maybe you come and you see it another night and you'll catch something totally different. You'll see an actor doing something different across the stage.
You might get sweat on you on one night.
You might, yeah. Maybe blood, who knows? It's kind of a gory play.
That sounds like fun. So again, tell us when this show is happening.
So the show opens April 12th and runs through the 28th. So we have 3 weekends, Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. Okay. It's at Cabrillo College. You can get tickets at cabrillo.edu/VAPA. So that's cabrillo.edu/VAPA, and it'll direct you to the calendar. You can buy tickets for any of the dates there. You can also call the box office. I don't have the number on me, but if you go to the Cabrillo website, you can call or you can go in person and buy tickets there.
Okay, so Friday and Saturday nights
at 7 p.m.
7 p.m. And Sunday
at 2 p.m.
2 p.m. And this will be this is starting April 12th, so that's what, next weekend?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow, are you nervous?
I am excited. It is a lot. We're going into tech this week, so we have 2 full weeks of tech and dress where we're adding in all of that. What does tech mean? Tech week is where you add in all of the technical elements. So you're adding in the lights and the set changes and the costumes, and in this case, 3-foot-tall wigs. And we're adding in all of these elements that we've been rehearsing without for the last few months. And it very naturally just causes changes in how the show happens, and we have to be making all these little adjustments. I think we're in a really good place to be going into our tech week, and I think that it's going to be a very beautiful production. We have Maria Crush is the costume designer, and she's creating these gorgeous, beautiful costumes, and Skip Epperson and Marcel Tijo are the set and lighting designers, and they're just recreating Versailles in this small black box theater. I think it's going to be pretty phenomenal. Is
there anybody else that you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, that's our main tech team. I'm Sierra Laird. I'm playing Marie Antoinette. We have Sebastian Hardison is playing King Louis. He's a phenomenal, hilarious King Louis. He makes the character so fun and so sympathetic and so believable. We have Michael Navarro is playing Axel Fersen, who was a Swedish count who was involved with the royal family. And then we have Rocio Sullivan, who is our dramaturg, is also playing the Duchess de Polignac, who was one of Maria's friends. And Kalia Kelly is playing Lambal, who was actually an Italian princess who was one of Maria's friends, Marie's friends. And then Lainey Correa is playing a sheep. And she's a phenomenal sheep, and she is has been working so hard. She's been studying up. She's got the best sheep physicality I've ever seen. And I'm not going to tell you how the sheep is involved. You'll have to come and find out what's with the sheep.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Are you serious about the 3-foot-tall wigs?
3-foot-tall wigs, yeah. So I have multiple wig changes through. So luckily the 3-foot-tall wig doesn't stay on for very long, but it should hopefully be an impactful choice.
Do you have any aspirations in acting past Cabrillo College? I mean, are you looking forward to what are some of your dreams, acting dreams, and some things that you would like to see?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an older student. I'm 27, and so I was at Cabrillo during high school, and then I moved away and I lived in Atlanta for a while and LA for a while, and so I actually have a film and theater production company with my sister Caitlin.
Oh wow! So, what's the name of the company?
So we just go as the Laird Sisters, and we have a website, thelairdSisters.com, and we produce female-led action adventure. We loved Indiana Jones and James Bond growing up and didn't really see anything equivalent for ourselves, so we started writing and producing and directing, and so we do a lot of indie stuff. We also have a theatrical production of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow that we have produced and workshopped, and now we're working on turning it into an immersive walkthrough experience, hopefully this fall. We'd love to do it for this Halloween. So it's been really fun coming back to Cabrillo after the last 10 years of working on this with my sister, and getting to come back in primarily as an actor is a treat, and getting to just really focus on the performance elements.
What character have you played in your career that gave you the most leeway to put you into the character? You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I would think that if you're playing Marie Antoinette, or if I was playing, King Louis, I wouldn't have much room to be me. And what's the role that gave you the most freedom to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think with Marie Antoinette, you would actually be surprised. As an actor, one of your roles is to understand the character and understand and to see at least some elements of yourself in the character. I think that's what makes when people play villains really well, and I think it's when they can really do that. And it's the same with Marie Antoinette, is that though I am very different than her and I would make a lot of different choices, I can understand some of the constraints that she was living with. Beyond that, I played a character named Connie in a Western that my sister and I made, and that was a lot of fun because our family has a property in Northern California, so we come from cowboys and cattle hands and ranchers, and so that was really fun to play a cowgirl in the 1800s California, and she's very tough and doesn't back down from anything, and I think that allowed me to access kind of those parts of myself a little bit more, which is fun.
Do you like playing the villain or the I don't know, the hero,
the protagonist? Yeah. I like both. I think the most interesting characters to play are the gray characters, where you have, and again, I do think Marie Antoinette is a really good example of that, because she starts off pretty obnoxious, and throughout the play you understand why she is the way she is, and that she was really a product of her upbringing and her environment, and I think that is really fun when hopefully you start off with a character that people don't like, and by the end of the show, they not only like, but really care deeply about. And that's what I'm trying to do with this role, and I hope that it, succeeds.
Boy, that sounds... And you're not nervous. You're more excited and anxious to get it done?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. I'm a little nervous I usually get nervous right before the opening night, right before I step on stage, and then as soon as I step on stage, it all just fades away. This is what I love doing. I love doing this more than anything else, and I'm really, really thrilled to be playing this role.
That's great. I can see it in your face that you're so happy to have a chance to do this. Yeah. So one more time, let's tell the people when this is going to be happening.
So this is Marie Antoinette playing at Cabrillo College. It runs April 12th through 28th, Fridays and Saturdays at 7 p.m. and Sundays at 2 p.m. So that's 3 weekends. You can get tickets at cabrillo.edu/VAPA. That's cabrillo.edu/VAPA. It'll direct you to the ticket website, and you can buy tickets online. You can also call the box office. The number's on the website, or you can go get tickets in person. And it's going to be a really, really fun show, and it should hopefully make you feel a whole lot of things.
Good. All right, Sierra, thank you for joining us here on Flight 1080. And if you can, give us a call that Friday evening or the night before the show opens, and we can remind people again.
I would love that. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Dave.
thank you for joining us here on Flight 1080, Sarah. Best of break a leg, as they say, right?
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We're going to break for traffic and weather. Keep it tuned in. Jim 2 is standing by in the wings, and we'll be doing that up next.